What's up, Dragon Brood? As we've stated, this is a shortened preview season, which means we have days like today where a bunch of cards got dropped on us, so let's get into it. We have Lockmare, which is 1 and a blue for a 4/5 Horse Serpent. This creature gets 3 -1/-1 counters on it, and you can pay 1 and a blue, remove a counter to draw a card. You can pay 2 and a blue, remove 2 counters from this creature to tap target creature and put a stun counter on it. This is reasonable, actually. I don't think it's anything you're going to play on turn 2, because, I mean, maybe you're playing a 2 mana 1/2 and you set it up for the next turn. But realistically, you're mostly going to be using it to slow things down, I would imagine. But late game, it could just be a thing. You draw, you put it into play, you pay 4 mana, you get 2 cards, and then have a 2/3 or whatever, or a 3/4, I guess. So, I mean, there's some fun stuff you can do with this. Like, it's interesting that this is a mythic, which means it's probably intended to be even better than we think. But I think some of the power of this card is also going to come down to how much -1/-1 counters can be manipulated on your side of the battlefield, like several cards we've seen and probably that we will talk about today. But yeah, this one at least seems playable. Brigid, Clichan's Heart. So this character is back. It's 2 and a white for a 3/2 Kithkin warrior that's a legend. Whenever this creature enters or transforms into Brigid Clichan's Hearts, create a 1/1 green and white Kithkin creature token. So just on the front side, this is more than reasonable, right? Like, you're looking at a card that is a 3/2 for 3 that also makes an additional 1/1. So you're getting 4 power and 3 toughness worth of creatures for 3 mana, and it's a warrior, which might matter for a couple of decks. But if you are wanting to build Kithkin, this is going to be one of the backbone pieces, I'm sure. But you go ahead and play green and flip it to the backside, you get... Wow, Duin's Mine. That's crazy looking art. But 3/2 again on the backside. You tap it, add X green or X white, where X is the number of other creatures you control. And then at the beginning of your first main phase, you can pay 1 and flip it. I don't know if I like the backside as much as the front side. Like, don't get me wrong, getting to tap a creature for what's probably going to be like 4 mana or something is pretty cool. But I kind of like just the value of the front side. Just paying 3 mana and getting 2 creatures and doing that whole thing. But there is value to the backside, truthfully. Yeah, it's still playable. Even if I'm less enamored with the back than the front, this is totally fine. So, like, yeah, solid card. Slumbering Walker. It's a 3 and 2 white, so 5 mana for a 4/7 giant warrior. And there's with 2 -1/-1 counters on it, so it starts as a 2/5. At the beginning of your end step, you may remove a counter from this creature. When you do, return target creature card with power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Ooh, now this is interesting because a lot of these effects didn't return stuff to your hand. This returns it to the battlefield. So, theoretically, you would pay 5 mana for a... because it will remove 1 at the end of turn. So, 5 mana for a 3/6 and get to return something. That's not bad. And then you get to return something again next turn. I mean, this is okay. It's not crazy or anything, but it is actually reasonable. So Flittering Nuisance is just a single blue mana for a 2/2 flying rogue fairy. This creature enters with a -1/-1 counter on it. You can pay 2 and a blue, remove a counter from this creature. When the creature you control deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker this turn, draw a card. So a 1 mana 1/1 flyer that you could then give your stuff the ability to everything that hits your opponent, you draw a card. I'm good with this. This is playable. Early on, it's just a 1/1 flyer, but then later on, you just get a lot of value with the 2/2. Yeah, I'm good with this. This seems fine. Like, again, I think the problem is just going to be what does the totality of the fairy deck look like on if some of these cards are going to be played. But this isn't, like, bad. If I saw somebody play it across the table from me, it makes sense. And it does have some pretty sweet art, too. Spine Rock Tyrant. 3 red for a 6/6 flying dragon. All right. I mean, has Wither. So anytime you deal damage, it deals damage as -1/-1 counters if it damages a creature. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell with a single target, you may copy it. If you do, those spells gain Wither. You may choose new targets for the copy. Wow. Wow, this is really good. So it's a 5-mana 6/6 flyer with no drawbacks. It itself has Wither. And then if you play any instants or sorceries, those get copied if you want them to. It's not mandatory. And they will also have Wither. So if you just, I don't know, need to play a lightning bolt or something, you know, a lightning strike, I guess, you'd be able to deal 3 to something, but it gets 3 -1/-1 counters instead. Also could negate +1/+1 counters on something. That's something else to think about. Yeah, this seems pretty strong, honestly. And it does have to have a single target, but it doesn't have to be necessarily damage, right? Like you could have a giant growth that you copy, or anything that's destroying an artifact or enchantment could destroy a second one, right? Like this, there's some interesting stuff you could do with this for sure. Sapling Nursery. 6 green, so 8 mana. It does have affinity for forests, which means it's going to be much cheaper. I don't, have we seen affinity for basic land type on a enchantment before? That's interesting. Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, create a 3/4 green treefolk creature token. You can pay 1 and a green, exile this enchantment. Treefolk and forest you control gain indestructible until end of turn. This card is good. Because it's going to be less for the number of forests, but it does cost 8. So the earliest you could play this realistically is if you have 4 forests on turn 4, you could play it. So that's fine. And then you just have Landfall, where every land gets you a 3/4 treefolk. And then occasionally, your treefolk and your forest are going to have indestructible, just because. Yeah, this card's solid. I don't think there's anything to complain about on this one. Now, does it go into the mono green Landfall decks? Like, don't know. That's an interesting conversation to have. But it's possible, just because in late game, every card is also giving you value in addition to making a 3/4 body. But any type of ramp decks or anything else could also play this just for value, right? It doesn't, you don't even have to be based around Landfall. It's just like if you have a lot of forest, there's a chance you're just going to be making free bodies while you do whatever else you do. Yeah, this card seems sweet. Marilyn, Fey Ascendant. 2 black, green, blue. So 5 mana for a 4/5. Elf Fairy Noble. Has flying. Whenever this or another elf or a fairy you control enters, exile the top 2 cards of target opponent's library. Once each turn, you may cast a spell with mana value less than or equal to the number of elves and fairies you control among cards exiled with this turn without paying its mana cost. Wow, there's a lot happening here. So 5 mana, 4/5 flyer. You get to exile 2 cards. When this or another elf or fairy enters. I mean, this almost functions sort of like a mill card as well, right? Every elf or fairy is just going to take 2 cards off your opponent's library. And then you can cast something. So if you have 4 total elves and or fairies, you can cast stuff that's 4 or less for free from your opponent's library. This feels really good. Because imagine, like, even if you're just playing elves, for instance, and you have enough elves that can make different color mana, you could just splash this if you wanted to play it, and we'll have all the multi-lands and stuff as well. So then, not only are you taking stuff for your opponent, you'd have mana to cast things with no problem, but you wouldn't really need to because they're just for free. But yeah, I don't know. This feels playable, right? I can't imagine not. This is also going to be a fun commander for people to play too, I think. Lorwyn, Imperfect Naturalist, has double Golgari mana, so you can pay any combination of 2 green or black for a 1/3 elf druid. When it enters, mill 4 cards, then you may put a creature or land card from those milled cards on top of your library. You can pay 2 and 3 of any combination of Golgari mana, so 5 total. You tap them, you discard a land, create a 1/1 black and green worm creature token for each land card in your graveyard. So this is wanting to be played in a self-mill, Insidious Roots, whatever type deck, right? And then you discard a card, also adding to your graveyard, and then you get, 3, 4, 5 worms each time. Yeah, this is fine. I think the issue with this card is it doesn't really go in elf decks. Not that it can't, there's enough elves that can self-mill and do stuff, I guess. But realistically, this probably isn't going to go in most elf decks. but this can go in some things that care about filling up the graveyard just to give you more blockers and things you can sacrifice and whatever. So yeah, it has uses, just not in the obvious places. Rigid Command, 1 green, white for a Kithkin sorcery. Choose 2. Create a token that's a copy of target Kithkin you control. Target player creates a 1/1 green and white Kithkin creature token. Target creature you control gets +3/+3. Target creature you control fights target creature and opponent controls. Honestly, because of that last line of text, I think this is already playable, right? If you're playing a green-white Kithkin deck, or I guess to that extent, a green-white creature deck, that, especially one that might care about tokens, this becomes playable, right? Because you can just have it as a removal spell, right? Add one of my things, fight one of their things. But then you also get the value of maybe I'm going to use this as my creature gets +3/+3 and then gets to fight a thing, right? So you can almost always win the creature fights. But you also could just make another body. You could copy something else if you want to. You could make a copy of the thing you want to fight with, so you lose just the token copy and not your actual card. I mean, there's a bunch of things you could do with this, because you always resolve the abilities in order. So yeah, this is wild. Oh, I guess you wouldn't be able to target actually, because you would need the token first when you cast the spell. But yeah, this is interesting. I think this is playable, and it's only 3 mana for a command, which is usually a pretty good sign. So like, yeah, this one I think we're gonna see around. Tam, Mindful First Year, 1 and your choice of Simic mana. So 2 mana for a 2/2 Gorgon Wizard. Each other creature you control has hexproof from each of its colors. Target or you tap it, and target creature you control becomes all colors until end of turn. That's funny. This card's really good. So a 2 mana 2/2 that basically says if you have a hybrid mana, you now can't be targeted by whatever colors you are, right? So this can't be bounced because it's blue as one of its colors. Now remember, hexproof doesn't mean they can't block. It just means you can't be targeted by or take damage from those sources. You know, well, you can take damage, you just can't be targeted by those sources. So yeah, I think this is pretty good though. Especially in a world, well, I mean, it is blue-green, I guess. So I'm trying to think, like, what else would I be playing with it? But the fact that you can make anything every color, that's the cool part. And it's not as a sorcery. So you can respond to your opponent going, shoot the sheriff. And you're like, guess what? This card's black. It doesn't die now. So yeah, this is an interesting, this card's gonna be a nuisance because it's going to be hard to get off the battlefield sometimes to allow you to do other things. Sig's Command, which almost some psychedelic fish art or whatever's going on here. It's 1 blue white, so 3 mana for a Merfolk sorcery. Choose 2. Create a token that's a copy of target Merfolk you control. Do all of them? I think all of them have the thing of copy that creature type or whatever. That's funny. Creatures target player controls gain lifelink until end of turn. Creatures target player controls gain lifelink until end of turn. That's pretty sweet. Target player draws a card. Tap target creature, put a stun counter on it. Ooh, 6 Command's kind of nice too. Again, only 3 mana. You can have all of your creatures gain lifelink, and that's not bad if you're just wanting to get an attack in and keep your life total up. Getting to draw cards, always good. Tapping a creature and locking it down, always good. Copying the Merfolk, interestingly, is probably the lesser of the abilities on here, but still really, really good. So, like, yeah, I expect Sig's Command's going to get some play, too. Yeah, so we have Eclipsed Realm as an uncommon. As this land enters, choose Elemental, Elf, Fairy, Giant, Goblin, Kithkin, Merfolk, or Treefolk. You can tap it 4 colors, or you can tap it and add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast spells of the chosen type, or activate an ability of a source of the chosen type. Couple things I like about this. One, it's a good middle ground filler land for a whole bunch of theme decks, right? So that's good. I also like the fact that you can use the mana to pay activated abilities of those things as well. Because a lot of times these let you cast the thing, but doesn't let you use the mana for something else. So yeah, this is just a cool, useful card. Obviously for the, whatever that is, like 6 or 8 creature types listed. But still solid. I think this could see some play. So we have Dundulin Weaver. 1 and a green for a 2/1 Kithkin Druid. When this creature enters, if you control 3 or more creatures, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Alright, this is serviceable. Right, if you're playing green-white Kithkin, 2 mana, 2/1, later in the game let you get something back. Yeah, that's kind of it. Nothing too surprising, it's pretty straightforward. Oh man, I saw this was mythic with the X on it, so let's see. Celestial Ruination, or Ruination, that's a whole different card. Celestial Reunion, X and a green for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may choose a creature type and behold 2 creatures of that type. Search your library for a creature card with mana value X or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. If this spell's additional cost was paid, and the revealed card is the chosen type, put that card on the battlefield instead of putting it into your hand. That is a little convoluted in its wording. All right, so as additional cost to cast it, you may pay the additional cost of choosing a creature type, so let's say elf in this case because it's green, and then behold 2 of those creature types. Then you search for whatever you paid in the cost of X. So let's say you paid 4 total, you would search for something 3 or less. Then, if you paid the additional cost, instead of just putting the card into your hand, you would then put it onto the battlefield. Pretty sure how that reads. There's a lot going on there. Yeah, this is actually just a good card though. Being able to put something directly onto the battlefield, super nice. Yeah, there's not a lot really to say. I mean, it's just good for theme decks that are playing on color. I mean, you can just use this to also just search for a thing. It just goes into your hand, it sounds like, if it's not the shared type. But yeah, this is cool. I got no complaints about this card. Noggle Robber. 1 and your choice of 2 Gruul mana, so 3 mana, 3/3. Noggle Rogue. When this creature enters or dies, create a treasure token. You know, for an uncommon, this is solid. 3 mana, 3/3, make a treasure. When it dies, make a treasure. Gives you some value back, gives you things you can sacrifice, gives you multicolor mana. Can be played in a green or red deck reasonably. Yeah, this is fine. I don't think it's going to like crack into anything crazy in standard unless there happens to be a Gruul deck that also wants some treasure. But it's all right. Nameless Inversion, 1 and a black. It's a shapeshifter spell, instant. It has changeling. Target creature gets +3, -3, and loses all creature types until end of turn. I mean, it's weird having changeling on here that like this card is every creature type. But I guess, because it's changeling. But yeah, being able to have this as a pump spell to possibly win a combat or just remove something at instant speed. Don't know if this will trump any of the other removal that we already have in black. But it is interesting if you're already doing something that cares about creature types. Or if the format goes to where creature types are super important, this can also turn some stuff off in a few cases. We have Kindle the Inner Flame, 3 and a red for an elemental sorcery. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it has haste, and at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice this token. You can pay 1 and a red, behold 3 elementals to recast this as flashback. This is okay. I mean, it's 4 to copy a thing till the turn, and then 2 to do it again later. You could do it in the same turn, I suppose. There could be a few, maybe you have some stuff with haste or whatever. But yeah, this is just fine. It's another way to copy a thing, and we have a few ways to do that right now in standard. Boldweir Aggressor, 3 red, 2/5, Giant Warrior, double strike. Other giants you control have double strike. You know, this is the type of card where you kind of look and go, it's sort of junky. But if you draw it after you already have, say, even 3 giants out, and again, because of changelings, this is very possible. You don't have to spend 5 or 6 mana on every giant. This could just be game ending. Right? Your opponent leaves their shields down with like 1 or 2 blockers, some 1/1s they couldn't punch through the combat or something. You play this, and now you have a 3/3 and a 4/4 in this thing. All that are able, and granted, this doesn't have haste, but still can do a lot of damage with just the other cards. So maybe, I mean, 5 is a lot, don't get me wrong, but double strike and giving your whole team double strike is pretty good. We have Pukazai. 2 colorless mana, or 2 generic mana. For an artifact, when this artifact enters, draw a card, then choose a color. This artifact becomes a chosen color. You can pay 3 and tap it, draw a card, activate only if there are 5 or more colors among permanents you control. Oh, that's cool. So if you just wanted to use this or play enough multicolor things to take advantage of the vivid ability or whatever in the set, this is a way that you could also just draw cards. Alright, it's cute. Don't know how often we'd play it, but it's not bad. It's just, I don't know if it's going to be good enough to break its way into a standard deck. Pitiless Fists, 3 and a green for an aura. So you put it on an enchanted creature you control. When this aura enters, enchanted creature fights up to 1 target creature an opponent controls. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2. This is cool for limited. We're not going to do anything with this in constructed. Like, there's easier ways to just fight your opponent's creatures without having to commit an extra card and all that. Like, yeah, not really to it for 4 mana. I think we have other options. Man, it felt like today had a bunch of bangers and surprises, so this was fun. There's a lot of cards we're going to talk about here. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and all that, because I am getting with Dev. We're going to do some stuff to go live, I believe, next Monday with all of our top 10s and stuff like that. So don't miss all of that. And there will be another day of previews, I believe, tomorrow as well. So just lots of stuff coming quick and dirty for Lorwyn Eclipsed. But that's all I have you for now. We'll see you next time.